they can go on the sideboard. It's Father's glass, we want that.
I dropped my handkerchief, Pat. Could you find it for me?
Here it is, Father. Pick those flowers out, Anna. They're withered. Suppose Ellen has a kettle on.
Not likely. She's the date of donut tonight.
Are you there, Ducky?
Now?
Get me my stick like a good child.
Here you are. Take that to the kitchen, Dorothy. Careful, you'll drop the whole thing. Hold on, I'll open the door. I'll take you to your seat.
All right. Oh, I know me wavy now.
Better be sure than sorry. Such a sight. What ails you? Not a word out of you the whole evening.
I'm feeling a bit down in the dumps, Maureen, and that's for sure.
Why so?
Coming out of Mass this morning, I was speaking to Oliver O'Shaughnessy, telling me he was of a man he met yesterday who had a cataract for 16 years, and it's not right to operate on yet. 16 years, Marion. That's a terrible long time. Mine's only 7 or 8. Only 3 since I knew it was a cataract. Oh, God, it seems a lifetime.
Well, I wish Oliver would keep such news to himself. Didn't Dr. O'Grady say you were going on grand and you'd be ready to operate on 6 or 8 months' time?
Ah, he did, but cataracts are very uncertain. It might be if the operation's a failure, I'll go blind altogether. He made an awful bit in the paper there a few weeks ago about the man that blew his brains out on account of losing his sight. Dick was reading it to me. It's making me feel an old man groping about in this dimness and darkness. And it's on my mind all the time the way I'm standing your way and tying you down here. There's times I think I'd be better dead. Better be with your mother in Kilmore.
Such whinging. Anybody think I was looking for a husband and losing my looks on account of you? Thank God they don't care at the convent how I look. Now, Father, I want to talk seriously to you. In a year or two, with the help of God, you'll be seeing as well as ever you did, and I'll be free to go and take my vows. You'll be here on your own with the children. They'll be growing up. You might be thinking of getting married. I want you to be very careful what class of boy you let into the house. Do you see?
You mean I must encourage likely young fellas?
I don't want you to encourage anybody, but there's some I want you to discourage. You can't have the riff-raff of the town here day in, day out.
Riff-raff?
Oliver O'Shaughnessy and Dick Delaney.
They're not riff-raff. They're old friends of mine, two decent, honest men.
They never did a day's work in their lives.
Sure, why should they? Haven't each of them their own little bit of property?
They're always drinking.
No one ever saw them drunk.
They're forever at races and coursing matches and reading low papers and telling bad stories.
Oh, sure what? Harlem, sure they wouldn't hurt to play.
You can't think they're fit company for 2 young girls like Anna and Dorothea.
Well, the children have a great graph of them, and they're not likely to marry, either of them. 2 old bachelors.
But they give the house a low name. They're not to come here so often. I've made up my mind to that.
Well, they're about the only friends I have now.
Well, you'll have to have them less often or have them outside. Sometimes when I think how this place will go to loss, I think maybe God wants me to stay on and look after it.
No, I wouldn't for anything stand between you and the convent. I'll try and behave myself. I'll give Dick and Oliver a hint not to come here so often, for I mustn't do anything that would harm the chances of Pat and Ducky.
You and your pets and duckies. You never remember they were christened Anna and Dorothea.
A pair of damn consequential names.
The names of 2 saints, Father. Anna, she was the mother of the Blessed Virgin. And Dorothea, she's a virgin martyr, and her tomb's in Rome.
Anna was called after your mother's mother, a malignant old woman. And Dorothea, after an aunt of my own, in the hope she'd leave her the bit of money. But it all went in masses. Oh, bad luck to her.
You shouldn't say the like of that, Father. Wish to goodness you'd called me a saint's name.
You were called after a woman your mother took a great fancy to, a woman in a boot.
Well, I'll have a new name, a saint's name when I'm a nun. I'll read to you now. But you'll not forget about giving Oliver and Dick the cold shoulder.
I'll remember.
It's for your good and the children's good I'm speaking. I'll get the paper.
Ach, don't bother about the reading.
It wouldn't be Sunday if we hadn't our reading. Harold will be here shortly, so the sooner we start, the better.
What paper have you?
The Observer. Isn't it well you never heard of it till I started to get it for you?
What heard of it all right?
There's this article here about Mr. Squires writing about Dr. Johnson, the man who wrote the dictionary. I'll begin with that.
Oh, anything at all.
The great lexicographer, that's what it's called.
Lexicographer? What the hell is that?
We'll find out as we go along. That's what I like about the Observer. You always learn something from it. The great... Who can that be? It's a bit early for Harold.
It mightn't be Harold. Might be.
Who?
I don't know.
Ellen's not in yet. I'll get the children to open the door and send Harold out in the garden for half an hour. Well, they have opened the door. And Claire, that sounds like Oliver O'Shaughnessy's voice. Such a bother. I'd better go down. The children might let him in.
But he might have an important message for me.
I'm sure he has. And that's Dick Delaney's voice with him.
But I think they want to see me.
I'm sure they do. But they won't Sunday night and all.
It'll be terrible to turn them from the door, Marion.
What's terrible about it? It's not as if you asked them up.
Well, in a way I did.
You did?
At Mass this morning.
That's what comes of letting you go to late Mass with Anna and Dorothea.
But you hadn't told me then that you were so set against them.
You've always known what I thought about them. But seeing as you asked them and they're here, I suppose they'll have to come in.
We could go into my little room, would be no bother there to anyone.
You'll stay here. Such a botheration, and we were going to have such a nice evening with the paper.
Ah, but that's all off now. Is there any wee thing for them to drink?
There's whiskey in the decanter, and plenty of soda in glasses.
How much whiskey?
Enough?
I see.
They're coming.
Good evening, Marion.
Good evening.
Here we are, Paddy. But hook you at your
Well,
ward.
they did just come, boys, sit down.
Am I taking your chair, Marion?
No.
I'll jump here. I've just been making Ducky and Pat laugh at how that old agent Mossy Burke found himself engaged to the widow.
It's a killing story, Daddy. I split my sides laughing. Pure old mossy.
What about your practicing, dear?
I'm sick practicing, Marion.
You'd better do 20-minute scales. Sister Mary Bridget says your scales are very weak.
Ach, Marion.
Sunday night, too.
Yes, the poor child. Isn't it terrible? And this poor child is to work at her bookkeeping. Come along, Dorothea. Back in a few minutes, Father.
Is she gone?
She is.
I say, tell us, did they find the body?
They did. Caught up with the little bits into the governess's throat.
For goodness sake, is that a fact?
True as the gospel. When he was arrested, he turned very pale, but protested he was innocent, and the sergeant.
When who was arrested?
Huntington, the rabbit farmer. Surely to God you know that, Butchman.
I know nothing. Not a thing since she gave me the news on Friday. And I got Ducky to search the Observer this afternoon. There wasn't a hit about it in the whole bloody paper.
And do you mean to say you know nothing about the looting mystery? Sure, that's better again than the governess thing.
Not the syllable.
Ah, the looting thing's grand. A double mortar. Have you had a paper on it? Oh. There's a picture of Huntington and a map of the rabbit farm. The cross marks where the knife was found.
I wish you could see it. Before we begin, boys, help yourselves. Marion left the drink on the table, I think.
Right. Huh.
Isn't it there?
It's there, all right. How much do you have?
A stiff one. Talking of murders always makes me dry. Oh, I get you now, Dick. You mean there's not enough for the three of us? But Marion swore there was. She, what'll I do?
Don't worry about it, Paddy. I brought a wee drop with me in case. Sure, you all know Barry's a wee bit strict with the liquor.
Ach, you make me feel so helpless. When I think of the old days before I got so blind.
Ah, don't fret yourself, Paddy. In a short while, please God, you'll be walking round as brisk as a bee and as keen as a hawk.
I wouldn't mind only she's such a damn good girl. The way she's looked after us since poor mother died. Sure, she's been mother herself to Ducky and Pat and never a grumble out of her. Though her heart's away the whole time with the nuns in Mount Lourdes.
Sure, Pat and Ducky are nearly grown up now. She can take herself off the Mount Lourdes by the end of the year.
She swears she won't leave me till the operation's over. And sure, God knows that might be years away.
Well, heaven forbid. Here's to you, Paddy. I often thought it a pity poor Marion wouldn't get married. I mean,
if she had some fine young fella breaking his heart for her, and her breaking her heart for him, well, I bet you she'd throw you and the children overboard, and you'd all then have an easier life. But of course, the church will wait. There's no fear of the church jilting her. God forgive me if I'm saying anything disrespectful. She's a grand girl, really, but it's a pity she takes everything so seriously.
Aye, God forgive me. I can only see Marion as a nun. I'd like to see her well married.
She's never looked at a man. From she's been a child, she's been all for the nuns. And the only man that might want to marry her is Harold Mahona. And what good is he?
Well, devil a bit. I think it's the blessing of Providence to have him the way he is, tied up to a wife in the asylum. 'Twould be awful if the likes of him free to marry again, and maybe rear up a long family as lugubrious as himself.
Oh, God knows. It's enough to make any man feel sorrowful for the wife to be laid up in the asylum for 8 years.
Oh, God, but it's 8 years ago. He should be over it by this. And talking of honeymoons, did you see the queer case in the day's paper?
The man that was drowned at Aberystwyth.
Drowned? Me dear man, don't you believe it. That closing the short trick's an old game. Believe you me, the honeymoon wasn't all it was cracked up to be. He decided to cut his losses.
For goodness sake.
I think it was just a common drown.
Then who was the strange man seen boarding the train at midnight at a little station 2 miles outside of Aberystwyth? Would you answer me that?
Whoosh, whoosh. There's voices. She's coming back. I tell you, boys, you mustn't stay too long the night. I'll tell you why later. Hide the paper.
Here's Susie, father. She got her nephew with her. My poor sister Mary's son. You remember Mary, don't you, Patrick?
I do.
She married Haggerty, the cattleman from Troupe.
I do.
And I think you saw Pierce once before when he was a baby. Shake hands with him, Pierce.
How do you do? You'll excuse me for not getting up. He seems a fine young fella, Susie. He has a great grip in his hand.
He is a fine young man, Patrick, and a clever one into the bargain. And Pierce, that's Mr. O'Shaughnessy.
Pierce.
And Dick Delaney.
Pierce.
2 of the biggest ruffians in town.
You're very hard on us, Susie.
Oh, I know you. You can't throw dust in my eyes.
I've met both these gentlemen before.
Where?
The Manor Races, Shelburne Park, the Mayors, and the Lantley's Bar here 2 nights ago.
The villains. Sit down, Susie. Will you take a chair, Mr. Haggerty?
Thank you, Miss Clancy.
You know, Patrick, it makes me feel an old woman to have a grown-up nephew.
Sure, you're not old, Susie. Sure, your sister was years older than you.
She was, of course. But all the same,
Your Aunt Pierce is one of the ornaments of our little town.
go on out of that. Praise from you is a great compliment indeed. Where are the girls, Marion? Anna's at her practicing and Dorothea's working at her bookkeeping. Practicing? I thought I heard a jig relation the scales as I came in the front door. Sure, it's hardly Christian to be practicing on a Sunday evening. That's them down, for goodness sake. I want them to make Pierce. I think they should be left to their work. Nonsense. Pierce is dying to make them, aren't you, Pierce?
Sure.
If you don't get them, I'll get them myself. Very well.
If you'll excuse us, Susie, we'll slip away into my little room. We'll only be a checking the young ones if we stay here. And we have a little bit of business to talk over, haven't we, Oliver?
Aye, about that little matter.
And it's very important we get it settled tonight.
Oh, off with you. Don't forget your plastic. You better take the siphon with you. It'll be a great assistance in solving that little bit of business. I see, Oliver, you have that low Sunday rag in your pocket.
And how well do you recognise it?
Oh, Pierce was reading it to me all afternoon. Don't spill the precious liquor down. Well, you're the pretty free. Those are the 2 nicest sightless men in Glencarrick.
And Mr. Clancy?
Oh, Paddy has a heart of gold. He's the best friend I have in this town. Poor man, it's the wretched life he has now, nearly blind. And Marion's a little tight with him, which is good. Maybe too good. I'll hear the other girls now. This is Ducky, and this is Pepper. Didn't I tell you, Pierce, there was no lack of pretty girls in this town? Isn't he a fine young man, girls? No, he is, my nephew.
Oh, I'd have gone to you, Aunt Susie.
Sit down, all of you. Where's father? Need me ask?
Going into his room with his cronies and tumblers of whiskey and newspapers full of murders. They'll be there all night talking gossip and slander. God bless them.
I hate those two being so much round the house.
Aye, but they're your father's old friends, and he couldn't have too many friends just now.
But they're... Oh, well. Are you staying long, Mr. Haggerty?
I hope so, Miss Clancy.
It's a great secret, girls, but he's going to set up for himself here. Since my poor sister died, he's got no one, and so he's coming to live with me.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
That'd be grand. Susie's got the nicest house in town, and a grand garden,
And a tennis ground.
and a conservatory.
It's a lovely house for a dance.
Do you like dancing?
I just doting it, but we're very backward here. I don't know all the new steps.
Would you let me teach you?
Oh, would you? You'd be a dote if you did.
Are you setting up in business, Mr. Haggerty?
Sure. A garage, taxi, shower blocks, buses.
We're very quiet here. Even if we're not 40 miles from Dublin, we're quite off the beaten track. You'll not do much business.
I won't be quiet for long. I'm a rouser. I bought Bones' place. Bought it at 10 o'clock last night.
But Boland's that big place. Are you long here?
Since Thursday night. I'm afraid I'm a bit of a rusher, but I always know my own mind, and bowling suits me A1. I'm going to run up a picture, a theatre, and the vacant lot beside it.
We're blue mouldy here, Mr. Haggerty. Oh, we are indeed.
Oh, you don't look it?
So the people here have ivy growing on them.
I don't agree with you, Anna. We have entertainment here, Mr. Haggerty, of a quiet kind. We have Shakespeare Society. Not many towns in Glencarrick have a Shakespeare Society. And we have a public reading once a year in the assembly rooms. Not in costume, of course.
Good. I get up plays. I've done a lot of that. This'll all have to act. This is a fascinating little town. All it needs is a bit of story now.
It's a very pretty little town, don't you think? The river and the view of the spire of the church. Have you noticed them?
Sure.
They look lovely from your garden, Marion.
We have one of the nicest views in the town.
I wish you'd show it to me.
No, well, sometime.
Why not now?
No,
Yes.
it's getting dark.
The spire looks stunning against the sunset.
Oh, but it lies to the east.
Exactly. The light will just fall on it.
I'll show it to you tomorrow.
Oh, I may be dead tomorrow.
Very well. Excuse us for a few minutes, Susan. The garden's a bit overgrown with weeds since Father lost his eyesight.
Well, girls, what do you think of him?
He's a dote, Susan.
And not a trace of a Tyrone accent.
I hate the Tyrone accent. 'Tis very low.
I'd like to see any nephew of mine attempting a Tyrone accent. In fact, he's been there very little.
Where's he been then?
All over the place. My brother-in-law died when Pierce was only 15. That's 7 years ago. And there he was left to look after his mother. Well, he knuckled to, did this thing and that, and everything he touched turned to gold. He ran a cinema, he ran a chocolate factory, he ran greyhounds. Everything was forced past the post. He has enough money now to buy bones and a few thousand in the bank besides. He's like an American. Indeed, he was there for 8 months.
And his mother's dead.
He's aboard alone, but I think he'll settle down here now. I love getting hold of a little town like this and making it home.
Do you know when he was saying just now about the picture house? Well, I thought maybe he'd have me to play the piano in it.
And I could be a secretary. You'd want a secretary, wouldn't you, Susie? Of course he would. But I thought you were going to win scholarships and be a first-class piano player.
That's on Marion and her plans. God bless you, Susie, for delivering me from them skills tonight.
You shouldn't say them, it's those.
Oh, shut up. Does this suit you better? Those damn skills.
Pat, it's no use shouting at us, Susie. Marion's making life hell. Such language. I'm not cursing and swearing. There is a place called hell.
And this house is it.
You must make allowances for Marion. We do. And remember all she's done for you.
We do.
And remember that she's very fond of you and your father.
We know all that. But it comes to this, we can't bear her being fond of us any longer. And we've a great plan. Will I tell her, Ducky?
Yes.
Well, Susie, you may think it very interfering of us, and of course, it's your own business entirely. And sure, we wouldn't make the suggestion, only we love you terribly, and we love Father too. And you tell her, Ducky.
Well, you see, it's like this. Now, you mustn't be surprised at what I'm going to say, or angry or anything like that. But, you see, Mother died more than 10 years ago.
Sure, we were only children then. Sure, we hardly remember her.
And Father ought to go into and Marion ought to go into the convent. But she won't go as long as Father is the way he is. And tell her, Pet.
Well, we love you terribly. You said that before. I know I have. Tell her yourself.
But we think, do we grant it, marry father? There.
What are you laughing at?
Maybe you don't like him, but you could go on about him as though you did. So it's a stepmother, this one? Yes.
You.
Well, I've often heard tell of girls hating the idea of a stepmother. This is the first time I've heard girls begging for one. Maybe those girls had a sister like Marion, or a stepmother like yourself.
Go on, be a dote and marry him.
You'll never regret it.
He doesn't. He's terribly easy to get on with.
He's very little in the house.
You wouldn't see him from breakfast to dark.
He doesn't drink. I could glass now and again with Oliver and Dick.
He doesn't bet or gamble. I know what game of whist. That's all he ever plays.
For halfpenny points. Stop, or I'll split my sides. Are you serious in this?
We are.
Well, I'll be serious too. I'm very fond of your father. And I think he's fond of me. In fact, I know he is. How do you know? Something he began to say one time we were walking up the rocky road. Then Marion came round the corner.
She would.
And he broke off. But I knew we'd get back to the subject if he ever got the chance.
And didn't he get the chance?
You dears, the very next day was the first day I went to see Dr. Brady about his eyes. And once he knew he was in for cataract, it was goodbye to lovemaking. Why so? Well, your father's a very scrupulous man. I don't think he'd consider it fair to ask anyone to marry him in his present position.
Sure, would you not marry him the way he is?
I would.
Sure, couldn't you ask him to marry you?
Such a suggestion.
Well, you could sort of lead him on, you know.
I don't. Will I speak to him for you? You'll do nothing of the kind. Well, what do? We have to do something. Let things take their course. Leave it to God.
Sure, we've been leaving it to him these years and years. Shh.
There's a knock.
It's sure to be hard. If it is, for goodness sake, Susie, come out into the garden with us and we'll send Marion into him. Run and open the door, Tucker. Isn't it awful having that Harl coming here every Sunday night with his long face in a sort of tombstone manner?
Poor Harold. Coming here to talk to Marion is the only diversion he has.
Well, his being here drives me to my bed before me time.
He has great feeling for Marion.
Well, I wish her joy of him. He's a lovely beau for any girl to have. You know, I'm not surprised his wife went mad. Sure, any girl would have to be a bit cracked to marry him. Wait, there he is.
Good evening, Miss Tynan.
Good evening, Harold.
Evening, Pat.
Evening.
Won't you sit down, Harold? Lovely weather, isn't it?
Yes, but the evenings are closing in. It's getting very near the winter.
Oh, come, sure, we're only just into September.
September the 12th. No, the 13th. A few more weeks and winter will be with us again.
I often think the nicest weather of the year comes in October.
Do you? Yes, sometimes we used to have a nice October, long ago.
The mirror says we're going to have grand weather next month.
Oh, I wouldn't believe in that.
What did you do with Ducky?
She went into the garden to tell Marion I had come.
Oh, would you look at that one trying to win a march and me? Come on, Susie. We're going into the garden, Harold. There's a fine young wee man there. Susie's nephew.
I met him yesterday.
Isn't he a fine young man, Harold?
He seemed very lively.
Well, he's young.
Let him enjoy it while he can.
Come on, Susie. We'll send Marion into you, Harold.
Aha. He's drinking again.
Hope I haven't kept you waiting, Harold. Sit down.
I can't stay long, Marion. It's too damp for you to be in the garden at this hour. The mist from the river is dangerous.
It's a lovely evening.
Yes, but one doesn't notice the dampness. And next day, rheumatism, neuralgia, bronchitis perhaps.
I was showing Mr. Haggerty the view across the river.
That's Miss Tynan's nephew. Do you like him?
No, a horrid young man, all push and hustle.
That's the opinion I formed of him.
Well, have you any news? I haven't seen you since last Sunday.
No news. Except that my orchard was robbed.
Isn't that a shame?
It always is, every year, except last year.
All the orchards in the place are robbed every year. You were lucky to escape last year.
But I had no apples last year. The whole place is going to rack and ruin. The house is filthy.
I think Mary Hennessy looks after you fairly well.
Ah, no. It's not like a home. I sit there in the evenings looking at an empty fire or an empty grate, and it gets darker and darker and darker and darker.
Well, of course it does.
And I think of my ruined life, and I think of you, Marion.
I've told you before you can put me out of your head. You're a married man still. It's a sin to be thinking of any other woman.
I know, but I can't help it.
Oh, yes, you can.
And I think you don't care for me.
I'm very fond of you, Harold, but not that way.
I think you're a sort of a saint, Marion. And I don't think it can be much of a sin to be in love with a saint.
I'm not a saint yet. Let's talk about something else. What about the farm? Have you your own saved?
I have.
That's good.
But such a light crop, hardly worth the saving.
But so they're late everywhere this year. There'll be good money for them.
That's what they say, but I doubt it. I was wondering, would you and your father come out someday this week, Wednesday, say?
We'd love to come. Father always enjoys a little drive.
I'd send the truck, but I'd say the pony will be dead lame by Wednesday.
Oh, she will borrow a car.
Come about tea time. Excuse me.
And ask Mary Hennessy to make some of those lovely hot cakes. They're delicious.
Do you really like them? Sometimes I think she puts in too much soda. So indigestible. Excuse me. I'd better go.
You've only just come. Would you stay and have a cup of tea? Never mind the hiccups. I know you're liable to them. Hold your breath.
Ah, no. I only come in to fix up about Wednesday. And the cob is lame, and it'll take about an hour getting home, and Dan McCaffrey's waiting, and he'll want to get home to his wife and children.
Don't let Dan wait for once.
I couldn't, Marion.
Well, I know you're the most obstinate man when you make up your mind to a thing. Will you not even stay and see Father?
Where is he?
He's in the little room with Oliver and Dick.
With Oliver and Dick? Ah, no. How are his eyes?
They're getting worse, but we're to expect that. The quicker the sight goes, the sooner the operation.
I hope the operation goes well. I hope it will.
Have a say, Miss Clancy. A lot to do tonight. Estimates to fill up and all that sort of thing. Aunt Susie's staying behind. Good evening, Mr. Mahoney.
Good evening.
Ripping weather, isn't it? Well, good night, Miss Clancy. I hope to see you soon again.
Okay.
Are you
Good night, Marion.
buzzing too? You're very short and sweet.
Am I?
Even shorter and sweeter than I am. I say, did he get his goat saying that?
You mean offend him?
Yes.
No, Harold never takes offence. He's very gentle.
He's not exactly an adult comic, is he? But still, as I say, it takes all sorts. You know something, Miss Clancy? I'm beginning to love this place. Dote on it. It's not patchwork. Aunt Susie's a topper, and the people seem all decent and nice. And I bought bowlings for a song. But there's only one fly in the ointment.
What's that?
Your sister's telling me you're going to be a nun.
What business is that of yours?
One pretty girl less in a small place like Clare is a very serious matter.
Well, really?
I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I'd better disappear before I say something worse. Good night. Hope to see you soon again.
Goodness gracious.
Are you all right now?
I was right as rain, boys.
Well, good night. So, send the quest tomorrow. There'll probably be a good account of it in Tuesday's Mirror.
You'll be up on Tuesday night, so
Well.
bring the paper.
Certainly. I bet there'll be a lot of developments in that looting case too. Come on, Dick, we'll be off.
I'm here, Father. Take me arm.
I hunted them, Marion. I hunted them. I remembered what you said, and I hunted them.
I heard you asking them for Tuesday.
What did you?
I might never say a word for all you care.
That's not true.
You never listen to a word I say. I'm only wasting my breath.
I can't give up my old friends altogether.
I'll speak to them myself.
You'll do nothing of the sort.
Oh, well, you can't stop me. Will I read to you?
No.
I'd like to. That bit about Dr. Johnson.
I don't care a tranine about Dr. Johnson and old bags. That's all he was.
Piers had to go, Marion. Did he see you before he went?
He did.
I suppose I should be pushing off too.
You'll not go yet. For the love of God, Susie, sit down and talk to me for a bit.
Yes, do. It's time you were in bed, girls.
Sure, it's not 9:30.
It's 20 to 10, and you have to be up at 7, seeing as you missed your bookkeeping and your scales tonight.
Marion.
Off you go now.
Good night, Daddy.
Good night, Ducky.
Good night, Daddy.
Sleep well, Pat.
See, Susie, it is hell.
And don't forget we told you now, there's no time like the present.
And no reading in bed.
I'm annoyed, Susie, I'm annoyed.
Why so?
My house had always a name for hospitality, hadn't it?
To be sure.
It was a place where my friends were always welcome. A drop of good liquor and a good cigar.
It was.
There's no cigars now, because Marion says, blind man, can get no enjoyment out of tobacco. There's never more than a wee dribble of whiskey in the arse of the bottle. So that when my friends come to see me, they come with flasks in their pocket. There's no welcome for them. They feel intruders. I was forced to ask Dick and Oliver to go away this night before they were half an hour in the house. I was disgraced here tonight, Susie.
That nonsense.
I felt near crying when Dick whipped out his flask.
For what matter?
It does matter, and it hurts me more than I can say. And now, she threatens to talk to them herself to forbid them the house.
I think it's praying more and more on Marion's side that she can't go and be a nun.
Well, I wish the nuns joy of her. She's turning this place into a sort of a convent. And she's given Ducky and Pat a hell of a time.
That's the very word they used to me tonight.
Did they? Dear, dear. And they're two of the best wee girls ever snapped. She's breaking their spirit.
I wouldn't say it's altogether broken. Still, they'd be happier if she was out of it.
But sure, how can she go? Sure, I'm getting more helpless every day.
If you had a housekeeper,
I couldn't bear a strange woman about me.
she needn't be altogether a stranger.
You're thinking of some old one like Nellie Daly?
I wasn't exactly thinking of Nellie.
Well, who would you mind?
There's others besides Nellie Daly.
Kitty Burke? Now, you wouldn't want me to have the likes of her.
I wouldn't let her inside the house. The girls were telling me of the walk they had this afternoon.
Were they?
Yes, they walked up the rocky road.
Did they?
I don't know when I was that way last. Not for ages.
Well, I can tell you one time you were up there, and me evening alone with myself.
What's that?
Ah, have you forgotten?
I think I'm beginning to remember.
Do you remember Marion coming round the corner?
I think I do.
Ach, Susie, if she hadn't.
Yes, Paddy?
If she hadn't, ach, never mind.
If Marion hadn't come, what, Paddy?
Ach, nothing.
I tell you what would have happened if Marion hadn't come round the corner. You'd have asked me to marry you,
I would.
and I'd have said yes.
Would you, Susie, would you? It's good to know that. Though it's too late now. Maybe God sent Marion that day. If he hadn't, you'd have been tied up now to a blind old man.
I'm going to be tied up in a week or 10 days.
What are you saying?
I'm going to be married.
Who is it? Who the damned? Who is it?
Yourself, Paddy. Of course, if you've changed your mind since that day on the rocky road, say so, and that's an end to it.
Ach, I'm old, I'm nearly blind. If the operation goes again me, I'll be stone blind.
You're only pushing 50. I'll be 40 next month. There's not a deal to choose between us in age.
You're ready to marry a blind man?
I'm ready to marry you.
Ach, Susie, me dear, God bless you, I could cry.
You're a dreadful foolish man, Paddy.
Ach, give me your hand, Susie. I suppose I'm too old for kissing and romancing, but I'll do this anyway.
Don't, Paddy. Don't. It's as if you're making out I'm something wonderful, and I'm not. It's you that's wonderful.
We'll have great times together, won't we, Susie?
We will.
And you look after me till I get my eyesight back, and Marion will be free to go into the convent.
Yes.
But the children, what'll they say?
What can they say?
It'll be a terrible shock to them, a stepmother coming in on top of them.
It will. Maybe I'd better tell them.
You think they'd take it better from you, but break it very gently to them.
Leave them to me, Paddy. You can tell Marion.
All right, but break it very gently to them. One good thing is Marion will be delighted. Thank God we're placing another besides ourselves.
Made you a cup of tea, Susie.
Thank you, Marion.
What ails you? Your hand's shaking.
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Are you feeling all right? You're not looking too well.
I'm grand. Grand.
Here's your tea, Father.
I'll leave mine on the table and have it later.
I think I'll run upstairs for a minute. There's a message I want to get, a bit of news I want to give the girls. You know what it is, Paddy. You could attend Barry.
Poor Susie. It's pity she never married, isn't it?
Aye.
She's turning into a right old maid. Her nephew makes her seem an old woman.
Does it? That blow in.
What is her news, anyway?
Sit down beside me and I'll tell you, it's good news.
You seem very solemn over it.
It's Susie and I, we are going to get married.
Once Marion goes into the convent, I'm going to Dublin to get a real ball. And I'm getting into pyjamas, biscuit-coloured ones. I hate these stuffy nightdresses.
Well, I'm going to stick to nightdresses, and I'm going to let my hair grow. You must look ahead.
Oh, I don't think long hair is coming back as quick as all that.
She'll go on alone knows what the fashions will be the time Marion's out of here.
I have hopes of Susie.
I haven't.
I felt tonight there was something in the air. I think Daddy's a bit fed up with the way things are. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he asked her to marry him tonight. Sure, did you not hear him asking her to stay on and talk with him a while?
There's nothing in that. Susie's a washout. All this, wait till you're asked business.
Which is the only one who can stand up to that Marion one. Did you see the sly way she collared Pierce tonight and made him go off with her into the garden?
I saw it. Cute. I know he'd rather stay and talk to us. But that's her game always. A spoiled sport. That's what she is.
And of course, if she's going to be a nun, the men feel completely safe with her. It's really an awful handicap to us to have a sister going into a convent.
True for you. If she doesn't go into the convent soon, we'll die old maids.
It's awful. And dear knows what they see in her. She's got a decent sort of skin, not too bad a figure, and nice hair. But that's about all.
Oliver Shaughnessy took me breath away the other day, saying how good looking she was. Now, our Marion good looking, I think the man's demented.
Aye, and Dick gone on another time about her cleverness. I'd like him to be living in the same house with her for about a month. He'd soon change his tune. I wish to God it had a different class of a nose.
What sort do you want?
I don't know, but any sort would be better than this. Ah, forget it, child, forget it.
Have you said your prayers?
Mind your own business. I do think he's rather attractive.
Who?
The cat.
Suppose you mean Mr. Haggerty?
I mean Pierce. He was calling me Pet tonight before he finished. Did he call you Ducky?
No. You're welcome to.
Sour grapes.
Go to sleep. I want to read.
Marion will catch you. What's the old book anyway?
Never mind.
Some cheap romantical nonsense I'll be bound.
All right, who's asking you to read it? What the hell are you laughing at?
Mossy Burke and the widow.
Wasn't it wild?
Could you really have him for breach of promise? Will he really have to marry her?
Oliver said he would.
The poor unfortunate man.
Shh. There's a step. It's Ellen get up to her room. Let's have that clipped in.
Sure.
I'd like to know how she got on this evening.
Let's call her. Ellen!
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 Ellen! What do you want? Come in a minute. Shut the door. What is it? How'd you get on this evening? Oh, go on. Tell us.
Too curious you are.
Go on. You always tell us. Sit down here a minute. Did Donald turn up?
He did.
Did you meet him?
I did.
After benediction, I suppose.
Yes,
Did you walk up the river like you said you would?
we did.
Ah, for goodness sake, Ellen, don't be so close on yourself. Sit down here and tell us. What sort of an evening had you?
Oh, I've been toothache.
Ducking, she's done it again. Och, Ellen, and after all we said to you, who is it this time?
A grand young fellow I saw in the chapel. Mrs. Morarity's nephew's cousin, I believe he is. Clarence, his name is. Isn't that a grand name? And what was Donagh compared to him?
So you chucked Donagh.
At the waterfall, I gave him the push, and we've parted forever.
Oh, Ellen, isn't that the third since Christmas?
It is.
You've a right to be ashamed of yourself.
I know.
Did you give him the ring back?
Of course.
And Donagh, he was so steady and so nice. And we warned you, and we told you to be careful. And the day will come when you'll run through all the men in the town, and you'll be getting old. And you'll think then of all the chances you've missed, and of our warnings. But 'twill be too late.
I know. But what can I do? I was wild about Donagh till I got engaged to him. I was wild about all the others. If I could only get married quick, 'twould be all right. But while I'm waiting to be married, someone else sails across my path, and I think, what a fool I'd be to tie myself for life to the man at my side. And, oh, if you could see Clarence, he's lovely and a couple of years younger than Donagh.
Have you spoken to him?
Not yet, but I promised an intro for tomorrow night.
You're hopeless, Ellen. There's no use talking to you.
Not the least good in the world. It is what my poor father used to be saying. 'Tis the far-off hills are green.
I suppose Clarence is the greenest yet.
He is so.
You'll be engaged to him in a week, and you'll jilt him in favour of some other will-o'-the-wisp.
Huh? I suppose so.
And you're getting quicker and quicker. A year or two ago, you'd stick to the one fella for 6 months or more. But now, 3 since Christmas, I don't know what's going to become of you.
I'm awful. I know I am.
Don't expect us to pity you for the toothache. It's your own fault.
I don't know how it is, but love always flies to me teeth. Every tooth in me head's aching. I won't sleep a wink tonight.
Serves you right. Look here. Make it up with Donagh tomorrow. Let Clarence go his road.
I couldn't. If you could see him. He was dressed in dark navy and that lovely sort of sleek, shiny hair.
Sounds awful common.
He's grand, wonderful, romantic,
Oh, nonsense.
with a sort of sad, far-away look in his eyes,
Och, Ellen,
and a little halt in his step. I suppose he did wonders in some war or other. I'll go and take off my hat and make a cup of tea for the master and Miss Marion.
Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
I am. I wish I was dead. Only for Clarence. Good night to you.
good night. Well, isn't she a caution?
The far-off hills are green. Look, I suppose there's something in that saying. I mean, things seem grand until we have them.
How do you mean?
Well, when Marion goes into the convent, things mightn't be as good for us as we think. And maybe the convent won't be all she expects either.
Oh, give over your sermonising. I'm going to sleep.
Good night, so.
If Maureen sees the light of that lamp, she'll have your life.
Well, let her. I don't care. Ellen's disturbed me. And anyway, I'm at the bit in the book when everything goes wrong.
Skip on to the last page. See if they marry.
No, I couldn't do that.
There's Marion. Now you're caught.
I don't care. Come in.
Are you asleep there?
Not a bit of a
Oh,
Susie.
no.
Come in.
I didn't want to go home without having a word with you.
Sit down here.
Well, what's happening below, Susie?
Nothing. Marian's talking to your father.
Any fear for coming up?
Not for a bit, I think.
Well,
Well, what?
you know, any news? Anything happening?
What are you laughing at?
She's done it, Ducky. She's done it.
Oh, she has. You. Oh, have you, Susie? Susie, have you?
I've come up to break something to you.
Break? Mercy for God, Ducky, pet. She's after refusing him.
Not a bit of her. She'd never dare face us if she had.
Your father says I must break it to you.
Give over your breaks and tell us, yes or no, are you going to marry him?
I am.
When will you be married, Susie?
I don't know. We didn't get round to that. Marian came in with the tea.
Is he telling her now?
I suppose so.
She'll be dying down with delight.
She can go off to Mount Lears now. There's nothing to stop her. You'll be married soon, Susie, won't you?
The sooner the better as far as I'm concerned.
Will you have bridesmaids?
At my age.
Have sense, pet. Oh, for God's sake, Susie. She wants a wedding unless it's not passed over with bridesmaids and champagne and rice. A bit of crack.
Sure, we could be bridesmaids. And Pierce, he could be the best man.
And you go off Pierce's motor car to catch the boat at Dunleary. The honeymoon will be spent in the continent. That always reads well.
Especially in the Herald.
I'm awfully glad with this, Susie. I really am. There's nothing I'd want more.
Nor I.
I know. You're two darling girls. I'll try to be good to you and I'll do my best by you.
Sure, we're easy to manage, Susie. We are indeed. But we must be led and not driven.
I see.
I want a bit of humour in. I mean, there's times I not applying bookkeeping or shorthand. And then there's no use forcing me.
I see.
And you mustn't be at me all the time about scales.
Sure, I don't care if I never hear another scale in my life.
That's the best news I've heard yet. You're a dope, Susie.
Wait, there's the top of your daddy's stick. Sit here, Patrick.
My dear girls, Susie has told you.
She has.
You'll have to forgive me. I know that no one can ever be the same to you as your poor mother. But in a little while, you'll be out in the world, and Marion, of course, will be gone from us. I'd be very lonely. Susie and I have been good friends this many's a long year, and you'll have to forgive your selfish old father.
We do.
I know it has come as a great surprise to you. The last thing in the world you would ever expect to happen.
It took my breath away.
You could have knocked me down at the feather when Susie broke the news.
I know, yous are good little girls to take it so well. One grand thing is, it'll free Marion. I won't be standing between her and the convent anymore.
Isn't that splendid?
Aren't you delighted, Marion?
I am, but I'm a bit bewildered by the suddenness of it all. I haven't kissed you, Susie. I haven't wished you all the best. God bless you. May you both be very happy.
Thank you, Marion.
Tomorrow you could go to Mount Lourdes and see the Mother Superior, Marion, couldn't you?
The Mother Superior?
I should tell you how soon you'd be likely to be able to begin.
You could be away in a week or 10 days.
10 days or a week? I can hardly go that quick. I'll have to wait and see Father's operation well over.
What?
What do you mean?
What are you talking about? So won't Susie look after that job?
Wouldn't be very nice to ask her to do the like of that before she was married to you.
But sure, Susie, you'll marry me without waiting for the operation, won't you?
I will to be sure, Patrick. I'll marry you next week if you like.
I see. I didn't understand. I thought it all depended how the operation turned out.
Not at all.
Sure, Susie doesn't mind a little thing like that. Do you, Susie?
Not a bit in the world.
I see. That's very good of you, Susie. But I don't think it's fair to ask it of you.
And why not?
Well, I'd like Father to get married with his eyes open.
That's rather a queer thing to say, Marion.
Look, I don't mean it in any queer way. There's nobody before yourself would like to be with Father when I go into the convent. All I mean is, I don't like the idea of him getting married and him half blind. What do people say?
Well, I don't care a damn what they say. I want to marry Susie, and Susie's ready to marry me blind and all, and that's all that matters.
See, I think it's rash.
Of course it is, and all marriage is rash.
Should there be no fun if there weren't?
And it's so awkward your nephew being there at the minute, Susie.
And what's awkward about it?
Well, you live at your place, won't you, till the children and I are out of here?
What? What? What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
Well, this house is so small and Susie like a place to herself. She's been used to that for years. This place couldn't be a real home for you till myself and the children were out of here.
But you won't the nuns take you in at once?
I'm sure they would. I couldn't leave here till the children are educated and out in the world.
Till we're educated?
What's stopping you?
Do you mean to say you're not going to come right away?
How can I?
What's stopping you?
You and Dorothea.
How are we stopping you?
You're practicing. Who's going to look after that if I'm not here? Susie hates the sound of a piano.
I do not, but I hate scales.
And Sister Mary Bridget says your scales are very important.
Oh, shut up about Sister Mary Bridget. Listen, Marion, I promise I practice 2 hours every day. I will, Marion, I will indeed.
I couldn't trust you. And what about Dorothea's bookkeeping? Who's to look after that?
I can work my fingers to the bone. I take correspondence classes.
We'll all do our best to keep their nose to the grindstone.
Sure you would at first, Father, but it wouldn't last. You're too soft with them. Right? And I must think of the children before anything. If you're so set on marrying at once, I'm sure Susie would take you in at her place, if her nephew wasn't too much in the way.
Oh, it's a big house. Pierce would be no bother.
Only be for a year or two.
A year or two.
What do you say, Patrick?
I'll be very content at your place, Susie. You have a grand, lovely house. After all, I've no great feeling for this place. We've only been in it a matter of 5 years.
Very well. That's a good idea of yours, Marion. Your father and I will get married as soon as can be, very quietly. And then he'll come and live at my place. I'll be able to make him very comfortable up there.
Susie, are you deserting us?
Not at all. Sure, I'll only be the other end of the road.
You're thinking of nothing else in the world but your own happiness.
And after all, you owe us.
I don't owe you a thing.
If we hadn't told you to lead him on,
And not to keep leaving it to God.
Shut your mouths, the pair of you. Don't mind them, Patrick. They're getting a little too free and easy in themselves. Marion's right. They need a firmer hand over them than yours or mine.
Sure, I don't know in the world what they're talking about.
It's as well you don't.
She's deserted us. She has indeed. She's gone over the other side, lock, stock and barrel.
she has. God forgive you.
He will.
That's all settled then. You marry Susie whenever you like and I'll stay on here with the girls.
Suits me, all right.
A most satisfactory conclusion. I don't think anything could have turned out better.
No, no, no. It's wicked of us to be standing between Mary and her vocation. It's not fair to expect us to do such a thing, is it, Ducky?
I couldn't endure it, Father. I could never endure it. It would come between me and my work. I could never get along taught right knowing that I was keeping Marion from Mount Lures.
Dear, dear, it's difficult to please everyone. I want to do what's right for you all, and not think of too much of what I want for myself. I think it's for Marion to decide. She has the clearest head of anyone here.
Well, I'm very content with the arrangement. It's as if God laid a task on me when Mother died, and I'd be shirking it to give it up before it was finished. What's another few years in this house? Not much. I'll stay. I'll look after the children. That's all settled now, not another word about it.
You're a good girl, Marion. God bless you.
I wouldn't doubt you.
It's as if God wasn't ready for me yet. Who can that be? Come in.
Mr. Mahoney's back again.
Harold, what for?
I don't know, but he's wanting to see you very particularly.
Is he in the dining room?
I left him in the hall.
Take him into the dining room and make you tea.
I will not. I'm going to my bed. My teeth are raging.
What can Harold want at this hour? I suppose I'll have to go down.
We'll all go. Good night, girls.
I'll never forgive you.
Come, Father.
Good night, girls. I've got you the best stepmother in the world.
So you think?
Come in.
Me, Harold.
I know, come on in.
Alan told me to come up. I have some news for you.
And we have some for you. Most exciting news. We'll have it with our tea.
But I don't want any tea. I'd rather tell you now.
Yes, what is it?
Driving out of town, I met Dr. O'Grady.
Yes, yes.
He was looking for me to give me a message.
Who from?
The asylum.
About your wife?
About Molly.
I hope it was good news, Harry.
Maybe the best for Molly. She died this afternoon, quite suddenly.
Oh, God rest her soul.
I thought I'd let you know at once. You're the best friends I have. I've got to go home now. Poor wee Molly. Poor Molly.
Well, it's not a terrible thing. Poor Molly Malloy. It's well I remember the day she got married and how gay she was, and to think it was all hands like this.
Ach, the poor wee girl, and how pretty she was. Ah, Susie, come on, take me to my room.
Good night, girls.
Good night.
Well, such a bloody night as it's been all round.
And so much for the wedding.
Father can sit here with Susie on his right. I sit the other side of Father. Who wants to sit next to Susie?
Where does Pierce sit?
I suppose he'll have to go beside me.
Could he not sit between Duffy and I?
Yes, let's put him here. It wouldn't be manners to put him anywhere but beside me. Goodness knows I don't want him.
Well, I can't imagine why you don't like him, Marion.
I can't imagine why you do.
Everyone in the town likes him.
Don't think much of the town's taste.
What have you got against him?
Just don't like him and I never will. How Susie came to have a nephew like him, I'll never know. I suppose I can be civil to him for one evening.
What time is it, Marion?
Just gone 6.
Well, Pierce swore he'd have him here in the dot of 6.
Don't you know very well that once Susie gets her nose into Grafton Street, she'll be there to the shop shut.
What on earth could she want after the stacks of things she got for her wedding?
She needn't buy anything, just look around and turn things over.
That looks all right now. I suppose Ellen is the kettle on.
I think so. But she's very low in her mind. She's a tip with Clarence.
Clarence? Who's Clarence?
Her latest fella.
I wish you wouldn't be talking to Ellen about such things.
Try not to hear how Helen and her companions are getting on. And the last fella sounds a real smasher.
Ducky, fellas and smashers. I wish you wouldn't be so vulgar.
We're not all going to come like you, are we?
Way upstairs and Perry, and take off your aprons and tidy your hairs.
Righto.
Evening, girls.
Evening, Marion.
Good evening. Oh, is he coming yet?
Has he come yet?
No. Off with the girls.
We thought we'd just drop in and give him a bit of a welcome.
They mightn't be back for a while yet. Pierce took the motor to Dublin to meet them and bring them back. Goodness knows when that'll be. It's not like a train.
I know, but sure, we don't mind waiting.
And for a wonder, I've nothing to do this evening anyway.
He'll be dead tired. Not up for much chatting or anything.
Now, don't mind us, Marion. I know what's on your mind is we'll stay for supper and upset all your nice little arrangements. Well, I promise you we won't. If Dick here attempts to stay, I'll take him by the scruff of the neck and throw him out.
Oh, you will you?
I don't want to be unfriendly or anything, but the table's so small, it just holds 6.
I know, my sister's the same.
Oh, Oliver, like a good man, don't smoke your pipe in here.
Sorry, Marion.
Hard behold, he's back. I seen him in the street there a few minutes ago.
Is he? I haven't seen him. How is he?
Well, now, I wasn't talking to him. He didn't look too much cheered up to me. That wee trip done him no good at all.
Sure, Harold would hate to cheer up.
He's a free man. I don't think a little smile do him any harm.
Well, I'll give you a favour the first day he smiles.
Is that ever?
It is.
You're on.
Poor Harold, he's been through a lot lately. Dr. O'Grady was saying after the funeral he should go away for a month or so. But sure, he could find nobody to go away with him.
I'm not surprised at that. Talk of the devil.
I was just saying I seen you were back.
Yes, I arrived this morning. Good evening, Marion.
How are you, Harold?
Evening, Mr. Laney. Evening, Mr. O'Shaughnessy.
Evening, Hart.
Sit down, Harold. How are ye?
Oh, just the same. Touch of neuritis, but one must expect that.
But that'll wear off now that you're home.
Oh, I doubt it.
Where were you, Harold?
I've been in Connemara for the last fortnight.
And did you like it?
Beautifully desolate.
I suppose it rained. Connemara's a devil for the rain.
Oh, it rained every day, but I didn't mind.
No, you wouldn't. Were you fishing?
Oh, I never fish.
Well, the nearest I ever got to Connemara was the Galway races. Of course, you were too late for them.
Was I? I hear your father's married, Marion.
Yes, and away for 10 days of a honeymoon. We're expecting them back any time. They're to have their tea here before they go up to Susie's place. They're going to live there, you know.
So I heard. Where did they go for the honeymoon?
Daleman.
Oh,
It's a pity you didn't go to some place like that, Harold. Some place that'd cheer you up a bit. They bogs in the mountains aren't the thing for you at all. A bit of a dance, a hula. That's what you want.
is it?
I got a perfect yard from Patrick last night. Was it showing it to you, Dick?
You were, it's the best of sleep.
Look, Harold, it'll make you die laughing.
I don't understand.
Ah, don't you see? That big heap of a thing, that's the wife. And the scraggy old thing, that's the
I
mother-in-law.
understand it now. It's very vulgar.
I suppose it is vulgar, but here, Marion, you have a look at it.
Bother with it, Marion. It's very low.
I have to see it now that you've all seen it. It is very vulgar, but it's very funny.
Let's have another squint at it.
I suppose poor Patrick can't have seen that. Susie must have chosen it for him. Did you get any cards, Marion?
Lots. They were all scenery.
Ah, sure, scenery's no good.
How did you find things when you got home, Harold?
Oh, just the same. House is going to rack and ruin. This is filthy. The catted kittens, that's the third time since Christmas.
I hope they're nice kittens.
Horrid.
Was I ever telling you, Dick, about the cat that... Oh, here. It's not a story to be telling in front of Marion. Come into the garden for a smoke. I'm famished for a pipe. We'll wait there, Marion, till your father comes.
Very well.
We'll see you later, Harold. Well, as I was going to tell you, there was this old fella one time. He had this big tongue, Jack, and the roars of the one thing down him at the back of the town.
You can't stay long, Marion. I don't want to intrude on your party. An evening like this, you'll be making merry.
You wouldn't be intruding, Harold. Father's always glad to see you.
An evening like this, you will want to enjoy yourselves. I'd be no addition to your party.
Oh, you should try and cheer up a wee bit, Harold. Put all that's past behind you. Poor Molly's at peace now, and that's over and done with. You shouldn't be fretting over what can't be helped.
Ah, no. What have I to live for? Memories of Molly. Dreams of you.
Oh, put me out of your head.
I can't. It's just part of the bad luck that has dogged me all my life. Fall in love with a girl who's going to be a nun.
Ah, but I'm not going to be a nun.
You're not? What are you saying, Marion?
I'm not going to be a nun.
Don't understand. What do you mean?
I mean, my eyes have been opened. I see now that what I called my vocation was all girlish, romantical nonsense. A month in the convent would soon have knocked that out of me, but I don't even need that now. Sure, I love contriving and planning and making people do this and that. All I am is a driving, managing, worldly woman.
I'm dumbfounded. I can't believe it. How can you go back on everything now?
I must. I look a fool, I suppose, but better late than never, as they say.
What does your father think of this?
He doesn't know. Nobody knows, only you. I hate to think what the girls will say. They hate me. No, they don't. But they don't like me for driving them so hard. I thought it didn't matter, as I'd soon be out of here, and they'd live to thank me. But now that I'm not going into the convent, I declare I don't know what's to be done. Oh well. I've always you to fall back on.
Me?
I'm very fond of you, Harold.
You always told me you never cared for me that way.
Neither I do, but I might.
I see. You shouldn't be in too big a hurry, Marion. To give up the convent.
Do you?
It's a little idea of yours that will pass. A thing of nothing.
If you knew how contented I feel, it's as if I had a toothache at the back of my head this year's, and now I've the tooth out.
I see.
It's grand to feel free to think of other things.
Aye. Aye.
Sometimes I think the best thing I could do would be to marry you at once.
What?
I'm very fond of you, Harold. And they say the surest love's the kind that comes after marriage.
I couldn't marry a woman who doesn't love me.
Well, maybe you do. It's very hard to tell the difference between love and like.
They're two entirely different things. You wouldn't be happy marrying me just liking me.
I can't imagine being unhappy married to you, Harold.
You don't know how bad-tempered and cantankerous I am. And I get terrible black moods of depression.
No, from living on your own.
But of course, I couldn't get married for ages. It wouldn't be respectful to poor Molly.
That's a pity. What I'd love would be a runaway marriage.
Marion.
You're an old fool, Harold. You're as romantical and nonsensical about me as I was about the convent. I never believed you were as heartbroken about me as you made out, and I was right. For now, when you have a chance of mending your poor broken heart, you'll not take it.
That's unfair. I'm surprised, upset, that's all.
You wanted me as long as you couldn't get me. The far off hills are green.
I'm very fond of you.
Aye, but you wouldn't marry me.
You've no right to say that.
Tell yourself the truth, Harold. I had the courage to give up the convent. Let you have the courage to jilt me.
You're laughing at me.
I am. And I wish to goodness it would make you laugh at yourself. I've been laughing at myself this last 10 days and I feel a different woman.
Maybe I've been a bit of a fool.
You have, a big bit.
But look at all I've been through. There was poor Molly. You were so kind. And I used to look at you and think and dream. And then go back to my lonely house.
And you're dying fire. And the evening's getting darker and darker. You're slipping into the same old thing again, Harold. Come on, propose to me. No, I'll go on. I won't. I promise I'll refuse you.
I wonder.
Honour bright.
I couldn't trust you.
Condemned out of your own mouth. Away home and get sense, Harold.
I will go home. There's no use talking to you while you're in this mood.
You'll never find me in any other. I'm sick of shams.
Good night. In spite of everything, Marion, I'll always think of you as the only woman.
You're slipping into the same old thing again, Harold, and I'll have none of that silly hand-pressing business.
I didn't.
Oh, yes, you did. But you'd better stop it, for it's dangerous. I might get so moved that I'd throw my arms around your neck and kiss you, and then you'd have to marry me. Oh! Poor Harold. Pet! Ducky!
We're coming. They've come. Master Pierce is born.
Father, dear.
Oh, Marion.
And Susie.
Well, Marion, I've brought him back safe and sound.
He's looking splendid. Did you enjoy yourself, Father?
I had a splendid time, the best for years.
He went round like a 2-year-old. And I declare, Marion, he danced.
Danced?
Aye.
Father?
I did. God forgive me, she made me.
I taught him a few steps. And the sight doesn't matter dancing. That's enough of one of the two C's. That first night in Douglas when I saw the girls going round with their eyes tight shut and their noses stuck in the fella's chest, says I to myself, what's my friend Paddy and I doing the same? So we did. I steered him.
She did. All the same, I felt a bit ashamed at my age.
That's nonsense. You and your age.
Sure, what matter as long as you liked it, Father?
Oh, Marion, I'm glad to hear you saying that. I thought you'd have been wild with me.
Sure, as long as you enjoyed yourself, what else matters?
Oh, Marion.
A lot's changed about this house since you left, Father.
But
You've left all the bags, McGarry. Let it in them left here, will you?
No, Pierce, I've a few things for the girls, but they'll do later.
Well, we'll be up to your house tonight to root them out, for I won't sleep away till I've seen them.
What did you bring us, Daddy?
Doodless rock.
Yeah. What's box in your hand, Pierce?
That's just something I got in Dublin. I'll leave it here for the present.
Are you dying for your tea?
I'm parched. I'm tired tramping the streets of Dublin all day.
What did you buy?
Nothing, except a religious picture for you, Marion. I couldn't see anything in Douglas that would suit you, but this is just your style.
You're very kind. I'll get Ellen to wet the tea.
Give me a few minutes, Marion, to wash my hands. I'm a mask of dust.
Take Susie upstairs, girls. Father, did you see Oliver and Dick?
Are they here? Where are they?
They came up to see you. They went down the garden for a smoke. They mustn't have heard the car.
I'd love to meet them.
Will you step into the garden to see them?
I'd like to.
Don't ask them to stay to tea, Father. There's no room.
I understand.
Give him a hand, Pet.
Here you are, Daddy.
Come on, Susie. I've got water and all.
They're both looking very well, aren't they?
Yes. Here. That's for you.
For me. What is it? Where'd it come from?
From Dublin.
Dublin. Is it Susie's religious picture?
No, something I got for you.
I didn't ask you to get me anything.
I know, but I got it anyway.
What is it?
A dress.
A dress who for?
Yourself, who else?
Well, you have a cheek to buy a dress for me and a bigger cheek to think I'd wear it.
You mean you would even take it?
That's exactly what I mean.
Or even look at it?
Or even look at it.
Go to hell.
Don't use language like that in this house.
Ah, rubbish.
Whatever possessed you buying a dress for me?
I hate to see you going all around all dull and dirty, because you're one of the prettiest girls in this town.
Nonsense.
You are. You give yourself half a chance. You dress plainly because you think you're going into the convent, but that's all nonsense. You're not, because you're going to marry me.
What?
I fell for you the first minute I seen you. I'm crazy about you. Say you love me. Go on.
I hate you.
Ah, rubbish. Say you love me.
I hate you. I think you're mad.
Yes, mad about you, and you are about me.
I've hated you from the first time I saw you.
Liar. You fell for me that first Sunday night.
I did not.
You did. Look at me.
I don't want to.
I do.
I'm plain and dull and dowdy.
There. Try touch the grafting state that's there in that box.
It's not only clothes.
But that'll make a hell of a difference. Go on, be a sport. Slip them on. I stand an Eric Susan.
I can't marry you, Pierce. It's too ridiculous.
Most sacred thing you've done in your life. You're the smartest woman in this town, and I'm the smartest man. And between us, we'll run the town.
Run the town?
Yes, you're made for bigger things than Chevy and Pat and Bucky around. Where do you get your hands in the garage in the cinema?
Oh, I hear somebody coming. What do I do?
Here. Come upstairs, step into that.
When I come down, it what to say?
There, tumble to the fact that you're not going to be a nun, and that you're going to marry me.
Oh, I made up my mind a week ago I wasn't going to be a nun.
Oh, I know, you fell for me the first minute you see me.
I did not.
Why'd you bring me out to look at the sunset? Wait, they're coming. Fly.
Pierce, be a dear and tell them before I come down. I'd never have the
Oh, I'll tell them, of course. Nothing easier.
Where are you off to, Mary? Hurry, Ty.
Well, I better give her a hand. Ellen's good for nothing this evening.
Well, Pierce, such goings on you never heard.
Where? Here?
Nothing ever happens here in Douglas.
I didn't do anything so out of the way.
I wouldn't doubt that, Susan.
Didn't you? What about the night in the pier and the two men from Manchester?
Shut up about that. And tell me how you got on while we were away.
Not so bad. Maureen wasn't as bad as we thought, but the awful thing is she can't stand Pierce.
Can't she?
Are you sure?
Now, Pierce, there's no use shutting your eyes to the fact that you can't bear a bone in your body. Must say it shows your rotten taste, but there it is. Surely, you must have noticed yourself.
That's something like it.
Of course. He'd been coming up here every day to see Ducky and I, and he wouldn't be here 3 minutes till Marion would be in to road him.
Well, I'm surprised at Marion. I can't imagine anyone not liking you, Pierce.
Ach, of course, Pierce isn't her style at all. They're like oil and water. They'd never mix.
Well, no, I wouldn't go as far as to say that.
He asked us out twice in his motor car, and Marion, she wouldn't let us go.
She went herself, maybe.
Catch her. She'd rather be seen dead than with Pierce.
Well, now, Pat, just to show you that you're not as smart as you think you are, I have the pleasure to inform you that Marion and I, well...
Here we are, Susie.
I wouldn't go to the shake your hand, Susie.
Well, I'm delighted to see them.
How are you, Susie? Tip-top.
First class, all of them.
Sure, look. 10 years younger than... And he looks like a 20-year-old.
That's all I'm feeling, Dick.
By the Lord, Dick, marriage is a wonder. He must be thinking of getting married one of these days.
There's little chance of that happening.
Oh, I wouldn't say that now.
I mean, I can't imagine anyone that would take you, either of you.
Susie.
You never appreciated us, Susie.
I never took you at your own valuation, you mean? How are the mortars getting on, Oliver?
Ah, there's little stirring, Susie, there's little stirring. There's an awful slackness in crime at the present moment. I don't know what's come into everyone. Nobody seems to want to do anything out of the ordinary.
Well, there's a decent little suicide in yesterday's paper. That case at Bull Yard.
Ah, I wouldn't think much of that. It was a common bankrupt.
There was more to it than bankruptcy. Did you not see what the ad said when they cut down the body?
A thing of nothing. Mark my words, a thing of nothing. But please goodness, in a few weeks' time, things will liven up. Boys coming back from the holidays, stone broke, taking it out in the waves in the lake. But meaning nothing personal, Pat.
Remember that double-bordered Wolverhampton? Holidays were at the back of that. Nothing else.
Let's talk about something more cheerful. I have a little bit of news for you.
What's that, Pierce?
It's not nothing very much. It's only at Marion and I this evening.
I'm off to my bed. You can tell Miss Marion.
There, Ellen, not before you brought the tea up.
You can fetch your own tea. My teeth are raging.
You've done it again.
He came, Clarence, to the back door 5 minutes ago, and I gave him the push for good and all.
And who is it this time?
Don't ask me. My heart's broken.
Well, isn't she a caution? I'll have to go and give Ducky a hand.
That Ellen one's a sort of a public scandal. There'll be no peace in this town till she's married. Come on, Dick, we should be off.
You do nothing of the sort, boys. Stay till you have a cup of tea at least.
Ach no, we promised Marion we wouldn't stay. As she says herself, the table only holds 6.
Many's the time in the old days I saw it hold 10 and more.
Ah, now these aren't the old days. Come on, Dick.
Ah, damn it, boys. The first night home and all.
But pledged your word we wouldn't stay.
We promised.
Ach, we shall break your promise.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll drop up to Susie's place in a couple of hours' time. Will that suit you? Would you be there by then?
Well.
Any objections, Susie?
Not at all.
Is there anything for them to drink, Susie?
3 bottles of Powers and a bottle of port. And Pierce made away with them when my back was turned.
I didn't touch them.
Very well, then. Don't insult me by bringing your flask, Dick. You'll be up too, Pierce.
I don't think so. I'll stay here.
With the girl. Marion will road you.
I don't think so. See, the fact is...
We'll be off, so.
Don't go for a minute, boys. I've a letter I want you to post. I left it in my bag up in Marion's room. I'll get it. I won't keep you a minute.
Sit down again, boys. A woman in 1,000, that's what she is.
You've struck gold all right, Paddy.
I did. And what did I ever do to deserve it? Pierce,
Aye.
I was saying there, you're on a woman in 1,000. You should pray to God that you did the looks to marry a woman like a whore.
Yes, I'd say Marion is a bit like her.
Marion? You're a nut at all.
Marion's up born out, mate.
A born nun.
Yet, boys, I wish God forgive me that she wasn't going into the convent.
Well, as a matter of fact, this evening, Marion and I were...
Marion wasn't there to give us a hand. We had to do everything. Ellen's gone to bed for 2 days.
Isn't love a terrible thing, Pierce?
Oh, you have hit it, Pat.
The kettle was nearly boiled dry, and the toast is hard as a rock. You better get Marion, Pet.
Right.
Hold on, Pat. Before Marion comes in, Mr. Clancy, sir, I have something to
They
tell you.
never hear better than that.
Well, that bates Bonner.
Mr. Clancy, sir.
Yes, Pierce, what is it?
I have something to tell you. This Marion and I were...
What's all this about Marion?
Well, only that
Such
she...
a queer thing.
You've lost the letter, I suppose.
I have not. I can't get it in my bag. Marion's locked herself in the room and she says she's not coming down to tea.
Not coming down to tea.
So she told me through the door.
Maybe it's because we're here. Did you tell her we're on the wing?
I did. It's nothing to do with you.
She must be in love, like Ellen.
Did you say she did toothache?
Stop your laughing. I don't like it, Patrick. Something strange is up. Her voice sounded queer.
I'll fetch her down.
Stop, Pierce. She hates the sight of you. She won't listen to you, and the door's locked.
I'll get her out.
Is anything wrong, Susie? Are you scared?
No, Patrick. Just a bit puzzled. Shh. Listen.
begging her to come out. What use is that?
Tell her she's done nothing to be ashamed of.
What can that mean?
He's ordering her to come out.
Such a way to speak to her.
He's losing his temper. No. No, he's not. They're speaking so low now that I can't hear what he's saying.
It sounds like darling.
Darling.
Darling it is. There it goes again.
Nonsense. You're losing the use of your ears.
And sweetheart. And baby. And glory be to God.
Oh, merciful heavens.
What was it, Susan?
When we're married, he says.
Susie, he didn't.
He must be raving.
Those were his words.
Come on, come on. You won't. I'll count to 3 and then I'll slice the door out. 1.
1,
2.
2,
Are you coming? 3.
3.
Oh, merciful heavens.
It's like something you'd read of in the papers.
Do you think there's any fairy that pumped their electricity acid in me?
Sure, where would she get acid?
It's grand, grand. I wouldn't doubt Pierce. Shh. There's the staff. They're coming. Father, I'm so sorry, but I couldn't.
There, dear. Don't cry, child. Nobody's going to harm my little child.
I'm so happy, Daddy, so happy.
That's all right, darling, that's all right.
We're going to get married, sir. That's all it's about.
I see. Sure, there's nothing to cry about in that.
Where did she get the lovely dress?
Isn't it lovely?
Will your tongues leave your sister alone? I got the dress.
Mind your own business. I was never glad of anything, Marion. I'm delighted for you.
Thank you. I'm so happy, Marion. Thank you. Well, you're a nice one.
Oh, well.
The young boys going round nowadays don't waste much time.
They're fast, shocking fast.
Won't it be lovely having Pierce living here and helping to educate us, Ducker?
Not on your life. We have a house of our own, thank you.
But our education.
That can go to hell. We have more important things to think about than your silly bookkeeping and scales.
Marion, do you hear what he's saying?
I do, and he's quite right. I don't care if you never get educated.
Well, Marion.
And meantime, the tea's getting blacker and blacker.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's all my fault. Come, Father.
We'll be off. Give me your hand, Marion. The best of luck to you. Damn it all, I've known you since you were a baby. I'll have a kiss.
Thank you.
Well, so long as Pierce doesn't smash me in the way he smashed the door.
You must neither of you think of going. Sit down.
Ach, there won't be room at the table.
Oh, there's plenty of room. Get 2 more chairs, girls.
I think we should propose a toast to the happy couple. And be chance to have a wee drop with me.
You can keep it.
Well, there's a sight for sore eyes.
Well, I pass it around.
Yes, and don't spare it.
I won't be God, I won't.
And that's for you, Father.
It's cigars, Marion, isn't it?
Yes.
God bless you.
And now we have all got a drink in our hand, I'd like to propose a toast to the happy couple, to Marion, and to you too, Pierce, and may you have about 55 children.
Forgive the intrusion, Marion. My umbrella, I forgot it, and there's big banks of black clouds out in the west.
You're just in time, Howard. Take this in your hand and drink the engaged couple.
The engaged couple?
Marion and Pierce, they're going to be married.
Marion and going to be married. I'm delighted. I'm simply delighted.
May the holy God always smile. The fibre, the fibre.
Yes, more.
This little room is as full of happiness as an egg is full of meat. Marion dear, Pierce, good luck. God bless you both.
On behalf of the Camogie Club, we'd like to thank you all for coming here tonight and supporting us.
And we'd like to thank the Tempo Drama Group for coming and putting on a very successful play. And we'd like to do the draw here now for the first one. The first draw here would be for the £10. And if someone would like to, if there's any luck in you. It's number 53. Anybody? Shout. There's one there. Mr. Corey? Have you seen me come up and spend that with me anyway? There you are. This one here is for the Easter egg. The first draw would be for the small Easter egg. Who's luck? Well, some of these been drawn in the shop, so it's Dermot McGuire, Killyfuddy Road. So I'll, that's what now is for the big egg. Here, since you're doing all the shouting.
Old Clancy himself. Name on the back of it now.
This is Jim Mullen. That again's another one straight in the shop. So that's them all. So thank you very much again for coming here tonight. Thanks.